What is going on, everybody? Today is going to be a long video. I do a lot of shorts to build the channel, and shorts seem to work. And then I do like 3-minute and 8-minute videos. But today is going to be a pretty long one. I want to break it up into chapters for you guys. This is going to be the sum of everything that I have learned so far in narcissistic abuse recovery. And before I get started, because I will forget, and I am recording from a phone and have been this entire time, and I'll explain why. I want to say to Julie, Amanda, and Michael, 3 comments that I saw this morning. I'm going to address all of your questions or the things that you asked me about. Julie was talking about because of she was raised by a narcissistic stepdad, and that her counselor told her that that's why she attracts narcissists, or that's why she looks for them, or angry individuals. Amanda was asking, what do I do, after 6 years of, targeted abuse and you're the final discard, and how do you rebuild the pieces of your life? And Michael was asking for a short about what to do if you have had a kid with a narcissist. And I'm going to cover all of those things as we go through today. And thank you guys very much for your questions. And thank you to every single subscriber who has helped me get to this point. I've said it before, and I'm going to cover it later. Like, you guys who have been active, who have subscribed, who've shared out videos, who've been in the comments, you all saved my life. You really did. I don't know if I'd be alive today, because the narcissists, to be fair, wasn't just the one I was in a relationship with. It was also a group of other toxic people that all kind of jumped in on the fray. They wanted me to die. They wanted me not only just to stop doing YouTube and disappear, but they wanted me to die. I wholeheartedly believe that. I know it to be true. I did a video a few weeks ago about when I admitted that to my ex-abuser and her response to it. F and die. We're going to cover all that today, but I want to just thank you guys and everyone who has been with me on this journey, because without you, I wouldn't be here. Thank you to every narc abuse coach, every person who's made content, every person like me who's gone through this targeted harassment and abuse and is still here, who just made content, like you guys too, and every channel, every content creator that I have that I've not seen that's out there doing the same thing. Awareness is very important. It is paramount. I did not know that these types of demons existed, even though they had always been in my life. To explain the sum of everything I have learned, I'm going to have to out myself on a few things. I'm going to have to go over situations and topics that I had talked about in my earlier videos. They're available on member streams from when my channel first started. I was very angry, just was coming out of it. I was still being targeted for harassment all over my personal life and my public life, social media. But I've got to kind of touch on some of these things in order to explain what I've learned. So, apologies, I guess, for any information that I'm going to be talking about today that I said I would never talk about again. I'm also going to be pretty real with you guys, so it might be disappointing to people who have been watching my content as of late in the last several months, because I have tried to move this channel into a more positive, motivational, as well as dropping truth bombs. And the truth of the matter is, I have put a significant amount of energy into learning how to mirror narcissists. And I have a proclivity. I have a pretty damn good ability at interacting with what you would call the dark side. For you Star Wars fans out there, for you spiritualists, you understand what I mean. I've always been a big believer in darkness does not denote evil. And it doesn't, because we are made up in the natural world of light and dark energies. And I have the ability to tap into either. All right, let's do this. Apologies to anybody who gets offended by smoking. I'm going to have to smoke during this one. It's going to be a long one, and it's stressful. First off, there's a difference between a person being narcissistic and a person being a narcissist. Being narcissistic is prioritizing your own ego, your own need to see your false truth, or prioritizing your needs, your views selfishly over that of factual reality, somebody else's feelings, prioritizing yourself over the health, well-being, or even just the basic truth of a situation. Anybody can be narcissistic. That is something that we all have within us, amongst other negative traits like jealousy. A narcissist, a person with narcissistic personality disorder, from what I understand, is quite frankly a demon. They're demonic. Now, you're going to go see narcissistic abuse content creators, recovery and awareness content creators of all different types. Okay, you've got people that are just coming out of it, people that are still angry, they're still confused. You've got there's therapists, psychotherapists out there doing this content, life coaches. You have people who do content that's very angry. You have content of people that do that's very factual and down the middle. You have content from people that is very empathetic and sappy and sad, emotional. I have kind of done all of those things. Mine, in particular, comes from a more assertive perspective. I'm not going to sugarcoat shit. Narcissists are demons. They are people who, at some point in their life, most of which, some are not, from what I understand, but most of which, from all the comments and all the material and the testimonies and everything that I've read and seen, narcissists, for the most part, are people who have gone through traumatic experiences in their childhoods. Whether they had narcissistic parents, or whether they had toxic parents, or whether something really messed up happened and they had to shape their worldview. They had to create like this bubble around them of an alternate reality, and facilitate this alternate reality in order to protect them from the horrors or the horror that they went through, the major trauma they went through as a kid. This isn't all cases, but from what I understand, this is most cases. And in that perspective, yes, you are dealing with a victim of abuse. So for compassionate, empathetic people who see that and can feel that trauma, or have had relative trauma but healed themselves, or took a different route, didn't go into NPD, you see that in another person and you want to heal them, you want to fix them, you want to, you want to be there for them. Especially if you fall in love with somebody like that, you want to be there. If you're a person who's healed, it's like, I feel like I have the keys to healing somebody. I have, I know that the type of love that you need and the type of support system that you need, and I'm going to be there for you. The problem is that people with NPD, they don't want that. They're playing on that. They don't want to face their damage. At some point in their life, they decided, I don't want to grow. F all. I don't want to face what's in me. I'm going to keep facilitating this false sense of self, this false ego. I'm going to prioritize that and do anything to protect it. Do anything to protect healing myself, doing what I need to do to be a better parent, be a better person, be a better brother, sister, father, mother, whatever it is. Prioritizing their false self at any cost necessary. Anything necessary. And that makes somebody demonic. Let me explain that in spiritual terms, right? So, and I know I'm taking a chance doing this. Like, I apologize if I offend anybody that's whose religious background, upbringing, beliefs this offends, and there's nothing I can do about it. This is what it is. This is from my perspective. This is what it is. When you have a person who lives in lies and illusion, not manifestation, not power, all right? Not the magician upright, the magician in reverse. When you have somebody who lives in that reverse position, they attract negative forces, dark forces. They become black holes. They're not generating light. They're energy vampires. They are taking light and energy from someone. And if you live like that for long enough in that negative force, in that dark karma, the dark karmatic cycle, you attract demonic, dark entities to you. They love you. They're going to use you. A demon, the difference between an angel and a demon. And these types of entities exist. No matter what pantheon or belief system or religion that these types of deities exist. All right, so we're just going to say angels and demons because there's many different types. Angels are the creatures who try to keep you on the path you're supposed to be on. All right, they're not emotional creatures. They're beings. They're there to set you on a certain path. They will be there for you, to help you, to protect you. But there's only so much interference that they're going to give. Right? If you don't listen to an angel, that angel is going to go away, and it's not going to. But they will be there to help direct you. A demon is an entity that has complete free will, same amount of power as an angel, no matter what anybody says, and it will use a situation, use any kind of energy that it can to create chaos. Both of these things can be used for growth. We're going to discuss that in a little while. But when you live in dark forces, you attract demonic forces. So if you continue to screw people over, to lie, to cheat them, to cheat on them, to destroy lives, when you prioritize your selfish ego, your need to protect that false self over someone who's giving you love, who's like dying and breaking inside to try and help you grow and be there for you in ways that nobody else has. Demons love that. So those dark forces are going to be attracted to that personality type, and eventually, if they live around you long enough, they will possess you. All right, those types of forces can possess people, just like they can possess a ground or an object. There's a picture of the guy that I was the main supply of my narcissistic sociopath, my ex. Way back in the community posts, right? And if you look at that picture, there's a demon in it. There's a face of a demonic force that has attached itself to that person because he too is damaged. He too lives through manipulation, lies, destruction, prioritizes his false self. And that is because when you live in those forces, demons attach themselves to you. So when a narcissist gets to a certain point in their life, they are demonic. They go from victims to being a dark force, being an energy vampire, a destructive force, to literally becoming demonic. Narcissists are demons. No, that's it. All right? I understand there's some passionate people out there like, oh, they were victims at one time and you should have more. I've heard like these bleeding hearts come through, and I don't know if these people have ever been through narcissistic abuse or if they are still attached to their narc, still trauma bonded and fooling themselves. But if a person has been so destructive throughout their life that they destroy life after life, and they have now become, a vessel for demonic energy, there's no saving them. They're evil. In my opinion, in a world governed by justice, bring back dueling. But we don't necessarily live in that world unless some type of random accident were to occur that was untraceable. It was completely random. That perhaps be handled, but we can't do that. Not advocating for anything. Just saying, there's only so many ways you can deal with these demons. There's only so many ways you can deal with them. We're going to go over that in a little while. But right now, let's go into what I've learned throughout the different phases of this abuse cycle that I've been in for 3 years. NPD can manifest itself in different personality types. There's different types of NPD, of course, because there's different types of people that can have NPD. There are some who work hard and who are dedicated to getting money because they can use money as a form of control over others, or power and influence, because they can use that power and influence in order to devalue and destroy other people and get that negative fuel for themselves. I dealt with a narcissist who's a drug addict and a user, con artist. And so that's kind of the frame of reference that I'm coming from. When I was first targeted, I was at a low point, but I was at a low point and a high point. I was at a low point relationship-wise. I was in a very loveless relationship, romanticless relationship, because I was being there for, I thought I was being there for someone who had gone through trauma had gone through an experience that resulted in a child, unwanted experience that resulted in a child. The child began to display characteristics of the unwanted encounter, and so she needed to stop being physical, which I believed I was being a supportive boyfriend, supportive partner, and accepted that and wanted to be there for her healing journey. Little did I know it was a toxic cycle within that person, and it was actually a devaluation that was going on. But I didn't realize that at the time. I learned an awful lot researching narcissistic abuse, researching, well, just like toxic abuse, like cluster B personality disorders in general. I believe that my ex had borderline personality disorder, definitely daddy issues. For some reason, I've always been attracted to daddy issues. So romantically, personal life, I was kind of in abandonment, which makes sense, and I'll get into why that made sense to me later, and as far as why I was staying. But publicly, I'd become the best version of myself. I became a YouTuber. I was involved in this community of online creators. Was all of my positivity, like all of my sexual frustration, my romantic frustration, like all of that went into being a dad and being a YouTube personality and working with this online community that I was in. Now, being who I was and trying to maintain a level space and being the best version of myself, I was a very positive, motivational person. And so that's like that's a lot of what I did when I was working in that community, was positive motivation. Let's get this done. Let's do this. I was working on things that I'd never done before, like writing books and building new experiences, building a social media platform, which I had never really done. And I was loving it. And I was also getting side-eyed and attacked from different people around me who had toxic personalities, don't like motivational people, don't like, positivity like that. Didn't understand why. But I had always throughout my life been targeted in most groups that I had been in because I have a powerful charisma and passion that I can utilize. I can light up a room if I want to. A very powerful energy. It's a gift that I have, but it also has to do with battling my own insecurities because of what I went through as a kid. So when you run into toxic people, they want to bring you down. But they weren't bringing me down at that point. I was at the top of my game. I run into the narcissist who abused me, and I confided in her. I'd known her for most of my life, and I confided in her about what was going on. Because I wasn't talking to anybody about what was going on at home. I was escaping that through being a positive personality and working with other YouTubers and doing the things I wanted to do. She immediately saw that, understood the manipulation that could take place. Now, it's a difficult thing, and I know this is going to be a little contradictory, guys. It's a difficult thing because I thought I saw light in that person. I really believed that there was light in that person. But the truth of it, the truth of actions, not words, the truth of actions states that she saw a person who was on top of their game, who eventually, not at first, but I was making really good money. It was COVID. It was during the COVID time. I wasn't working, and then I was working. But she saw a person who was doing great, very positive, pushing and promoting people and supporting people and, lighting up with energy, but at the same time had this, these issues at home. And she played on that. Triangulation from the beginning. Very promiscuous woman. And I understand through what I've learned that some narcissists are not promiscuous. They're just manipulative. But mine was. And sleeping with multiple people at the same time and making everyone fight. Making all of these different men fight for dominance around her. Fight to prove themselves. And the people that she was triangulating, aside from me, were criminals and drug addicts, drug dealers. And this was an area of life, some of which I'd never really been in, some I hadn't been in for 20 years because I decided to be a responsible adult, as responsible as I could be. And so and the way that they would project themselves, the false personas that these broken men would project themselves as, being tough, and they're not. They're very broken people inside. You have to be a very broken person somewhere in you to be manipulated by a narcissistic person. I've learned this too. It's a truth. It's a hard truth that we all got to understand. And all these men were broken. You know, she was just using them for negative fuel because they would, they would adore her, and she would break them. And if they got out of line, if they loved it too much, or they demanded more attention than she was willing to give, or they demanded, fidelity or honesty, she would ghost them. She called it giving them a timeout. And I didn't understand all of this at first. Like, I just thought I was dealing with an old friend who was, just had a bad upbringing, because she did have a bad upbringing. She was raised in a family of criminals. No matter what she says, she was trafficked as a young child, which adds to the sex addiction and the lack of worth. And these things really hurt her. There's no real support system. Her family was just complete trash, and which is a shame. And I wanted to be there. I wanted to be the difference. The manipulations that took place over that year, she was triangulating me and others with her primary supply, who is a toxic individual himself, liar, cheater. The perfect person for the perfect pair, the perfect toxic pair. They're lying and cheating and destroying each other at the same time. Some negative fuel, positive fuel, constant chaos. Always an excuse to ghost, always an excuse to cheat, always an excuse to lie, always and I recognized that early on. But it was my damage, my unresolved issues that wouldn't let go. Shout out to friends who give out hard truths, whether you want to hear them or not, like my friend Papa Cotton. Old Wookiee supremacy. This is the hard truth segment. You, me, every person who has ever been manipulated and used by a demonic, toxic personality like a narcissist has unresolved issues. There is something broken in us, something that was unhealed, that was used by a master manipulator who understands pain. A narcissist understands pain and trauma. They're trying to escape it every day. What happens when a narcissist doesn't have anybody to destroy? What happens when they're running to tertiary supplies? That the old narcissistic stable, to dig up anybody that they can get some kind of adoration or chaos or create anything from. Well, they're falling into narcissistic collapse because they don't have anything to keep them busy. They don't have anything to keep their mind active and away from who they are inside. They understand trauma. Narcissists damn right understand trauma. They are living in it, and they're trying to escape it constantly. So they seek out yours and destroy it. It's a very negative and demonic way of looking at things. They understand how much trauma hurts, the damage that can be caused, because they are escaping it constantly. Instead of facing their own trauma, they find the pain in others and exasperate it to escape the responsibility of healing themselves or growing up, being a better parent, being a better person. Demonic. There was something in me. There was something in you that made us susceptible. For me, it was a fight or flight mechanism I didn't even know I had, due to the codependency that was created through a dad who either loved me or hated me, and a mama wasn't there. The abandonment issues. I have mommy issues. I think it's so very important, guys, that we work on ourselves. This goes to one of the questions earlier that was asked: is my counselor correct? Why do I attract? I'll always attract narcissistic types because, her stepdad was a narcissist, and she's always going to look for certain personalities. That's true if you don't heal. That's true if you don't do the hard work on yourself. You don't really dig beneath the surface, get underneath those scars, and really do the healing that needs to be done in order to change yourself. Because there are lessons to be learned. All right, so we can't just off these people, which is a shame. But one of the ways that you can get, that I have, and I believe is something I think all of us should do, is to get to a point where you learn about yourself. Like, the healing process, as I had learned it at some point, was, okay, you've got to forgive yourself, which is true. You have to forgive your abuser. You're not necessarily forgiving them. You're just kind of letting go. And then, move forward into the next part of your life. You didn't have strong boundaries, up your boundaries, and keep it pushing. All that's true, but what does that necessarily mean? Okay, forgiving yourself is great. Yeah, you got to forgive yourself. You let yourself down. You let yourself down. There's a part of you, your soul is inside saying, I let myself down. And you feel shame for that. It keeps people in depression. I think it's one of the things that keeps us in depression for so long. You got to take responsibility for your actions. And your actions were letting yourself down. Don't be the narcissist. The narcissist doesn't take responsibility for their actions. They shift the blame. And you being targeted for abuse, not your fault. Learn what you need to learn from it. Why were you susceptible? So forgiving yourself isn't just, I forgive myself for letting myself down and for letting myself be hurt. Why? If you really want to forgive yourself, if you really want to, then go beyond step one. You really want to understand, what is it in you that made you vulnerable to a manipulator? I consider myself fairly intelligent, not the smartest person in the world. I know people that are much more well-spoken, well-thought. I know people that are smarter than me. I'm glad and I'm thankful for the amount of intellect that I have. But I was fooled by a meth addict, a sex-addicted, low-level con artist, day by day trying to hustle or trade sex for drugs, drug addict. That's what got me. What made me so weak that I couldn't see that? Well, mommy issues. My abandonment issues. I realized as I've gone through this healing process that I look for people who are going to fail me. I look for people who are going to screw me over. And my daddy issues, actually, the codependency that I got from dad. By the way, I love both my parents. I have a good relationship with them now. But the truth of the matter is, dad would love me like I was his, wonderful son 1 minute, and then beat the shit out of me, and I was his useless N-word the next. This is, that's how I was love bombed to valued. Love bombed to value. Love, you know what I mean? And abandoned and ghosted, and, not taught how to be a man. Mom wasn't there. So because of these things, broadly, in my childhood, I look for people, for friendships and relationships, who let me down. People who I know who will love me for a moment or love me for a time and then abandon me or treat me like crap. That's my shit. That's my issues. That created weak boundaries because I was not taking people I was taking people by their word, not their actions. And as I learned going through this, I'd always known I never liked liars, but as I went through this and dealt with not just one, but an entire group, the people that, retracted her, that lived within that cycle of energy, those cycles of energy, that deception comes naturally to some people, and they don't care. They're demonic. They don't care. They will screw you over. Dudes that will stand in the same room with you, or chicks, right? People who will stand in the same room with your boyfriend or girlfriend, they're effing them behind your back, but they're not going to act like everything's fine in the moment. They don't care because you're a fool, because they're getting what they want. Like that type of evil, nasty, selfish, horrible stuff. I didn't take people at their actions. Didn't take people for their actions that I saw. Red flags, ignored them. Walked right past. Should have known. Now remember, narcissists project. Narcissists project. They kind of tell on themselves and how they are and what they do by accusing other people of things. Or the way that my narc did it, which was ingenious, was she said, I run at red flags with careless abandon. I run right for them because I love them. No, she is a red flag, and she looks for dudes who run at her red flags. I didn't take people at their for what they were doing, And that's part of a traumatic cycle for us who have issues from our childhoods, unresolved issues that were used and targeted by a narcissist. Understand what your issues are. Figure them out. Accept it. You'll be stronger for it. You will be stronger for it, even if it hurts. And of course it hurts. This whole process hurts, but it's a learning process. Growth is not painless. What made you susceptible is your weaknesses. Turn them into your strengths by facing them, changing it within yourself. It's going to add to the depression. It's going to add to the sadness. It's going to add to like you feeling like you let yourself down. But I promise you, you get through facing who you are, and you will become a stronger version of yourself. I tied everything in emotionally with NarcX. The reason that I do videos out of a car is because I couldn't even be in my home because the walls of my home reminded me of her. Spent days in bed crying. Wanted to die so many times. Couldn't really go online because she took that, like narcissists do. They want to drain your light. They take the things that make you good and turn them against you. They turn them toxic. They're trading your healthy energy, your love, with toxic energy. That didn't want to be at my studio. So I record from my phone. I didn't want to be at my studio. It reminded me of her. It reminded me of the nights that we spent talking to each other, streaming with each other. The only connection that I had, because she all of a sudden wanted to be my girlfriend 2 weeks before I moved away, 14 hours where she could do whatever she wanted when I wasn't around. Sad. I know. Hard to admit, but I have to. Just got to admit these things. Got to face them. So I didn't even want to go online and go on my YouTube community. I had a group of people that I was building. There's a pro and a con to this because she kind of came in and destroyed it all. But there's a pro and a con to that because the group that I was building was building momentum and was going to hit the next level had people in it who were also narcissistic or toxic that I had, because of the way that I was, kept forgiving or ignoring certain actions in favor of having somebody around who I knew was dependably going to hurt me. And they were faulty. Eventually they would have, like, if it wasn't her, it would have been one of them. You know, like it was a pro and a con there. I didn't want to go online. You got to kind of create new routines when you're healing. But at the same time, you've got to face the things that you've attached to that relationship. It hurts like hell. Sometimes every now and again, a prang will come out. Well, a little bit more than now and again, but I'm going to get into that in a little later on. My own doing. All of this is going to hurt. Facing who you are. Forgiving yourself is not just forgiving yourself. It is not just saying, I forgive myself for letting myself down. I'm going to do better. And I'm moving on to the next phase of my life. Forgiving yourself is looking at the weaknesses you had, why you were susceptible, facing them and doing something about it. Don't act like a narcissist. Narcissist is all about step one. All about words, not about action. So don't forgive yourself and not commit to that action of forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself is working on yourself. It is making a change and doing something about it. When your cheating ass lying narcissist says, I'm sorry, I'll do better, and then they don't change, they keep lying and they keep cheating, they ain't working on themselves. That is toxic behavior. So don't do that to you. When you do that, you're going to figure out what you need to do to create strong boundaries and what you need to do to better yourself. You're going to become a stronger version of yourself. There's different ways to go about that, and I'm going to tell you all the way that I went, which probably won't be for everybody, but we're going to keep it real today. So, forgive yourself, work on yourself, face that shit. Now, forgiving them. Forgive a demon. Some people say, Forgiving them isn't about them. It's about letting go. And this is a sound spiritual philosophy for people with soft dispositions. We're not all warriors standing in Thermopylae. There's something to be said for that. And if that's the road that a person needs to take, then that's the road that they need to take. We're all built different. The main thing is make sure to work on you. When you heal yourself, make sure to work on you. Forgiving them? How do you forgive somebody who targeted you with malicious intent, who used you, took your money, cheated on you mercilessly, doesn't take any accountability for what they've done, will hold you accountable for your reactions to their abuse, but won't hold themselves accountable for the responsibility of their own actions? How do you forgive somebody who lives in darkness, who spreads pain, whose objective in life was to tear you down and destroy who you were, to smear your name? How do you forgive somebody who was a complete evil piece of shit? How do you do that? I'm still trying to figure that one out. Let me know in the comments if you have an answer to this, because that's not my answer. How to mirror the narcissist. Done a video or two on this on my members channel. I'm gonna be doing more comprehensive work on this upcoming. I've been hesitant, to be honest, because I have been kind of expanding my knowledge on how to mirror a narcissist. Now, I figured out that for me, I had kind of a natural advantage that I didn't realize that I had until I had forgiven myself and started doing the inner work on me. The abuse that my father put me through gave me a fight or flight mechanism that either makes me dismissive and avoidant or narcissistic. Didn't realize that. It's a defense mechanism to what I had dealt with as a kid. It's something that I've confronted throughout my life and that I have tried to curb before I even understood what narcissism was. But that is what it is. Kind of gave me inside baseball a little bit. Because this is the thing about me. When I fly into a rage, which can be a narcissistic rage, as a defense mechanism, that rage abates. My anger abates, and the empath in me comes out. I feel instantly bad. The thing is that because of my codependency issues, when I would calm down and feel bad for my actions, sometimes I felt bad for things I should have never felt bad about. Sometimes I'm not flying in a narcissistic rage. Sometimes I'm just being pissed off at somebody and holding my ground and holding them accountable for what they did. It's very rare that I fly into that rage, but my anger is very intense. It just is. And sometimes when I calm down, I'm like, oh my God, why did I say that? Oh, I really hurt this person. Oh, I shouldn't have, even though this happened to me, I shouldn't have done this to somebody. Bullshit. And that's bullshit. It's one thing that I've learned about my own boundaries, in making someone own for their actions. Sometimes people deserve to be gone off on. They just do. That's not ego. That's not hubris. That's standing up for yourself. That's holding somebody accountable for what they've done. And for me, kind of gave me an inside advantage. Psychopathy. Oh boy. All right, let's talk about this. I am not a licensed psychotherapist or any of that. I don't think you need to be in order to understand information and be able to come to conclusion. From the way that I see it and understand it, amongst the cluster B personality disorders, there is a hierarchy. From what I understand, cluster B personality disorders consist of borderline personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, sociopaths, and psychopaths. The narcissist is the saddest of this entire group, to be quite frank. because they are the ones that can't face themselves on the inside. They're trying to escape damage. They're the weakest. In my opinion, they are the weakest. Maybe it's just because I hate freaking narcissists at this point. But a narcissist can be manipulated by any of the others, depending on the type of borderline. Because borderlines are schizos. Okay, I'm sorry for you borderline person, you guys BPD or ladies BPD out there that are really working on yourselves and trying to get through your anxiety and depression and all the schiz fright that you go through. I understand. I'm not saying y'all are evil, but there are some of y'all that display narcissistic, sociopathic, and psychopathic traits, and you're batshit crazy. I think a borderline personality disorders to me is a cluster B clusterfuck. And I think that actually ex-narc was a little bit of all, kind of a dark triad, to be honest. If she wasn't a drug addict, I'm pretty sure she'd be a very competent con artist. Manipulation skills are very, very intuitive manipulation skills. I'm not even gonna take that away from her. She has some psychic ability, telepathy. Anyway, but your borderlines out there, they can damn near anybody up. All right, with the exception of one. Your sociopaths, they're all about in here. They don't really kind of have empathy, but they can display compassion. They can choose to. They know what compassion is. They know what kindness is. They know what these things are. To me, my understanding, a sociopath is like an incomplete emotional spectrum. By the way, like borderlines, not all sociopaths are evil. They just have like this incomplete feeling. They have an incomplete emotional range. They understand what those other emotions are. They know how to play on them. And if they decide to be manipulative, they can do so selfishly quite easily. But they have emotions. They have an emotional range in them. Narcissists have a broken inner core. They are toxic. They are avoiding responsibility for any kind of healing for themselves. They're running constantly from what's inside of them. And from what I understand, narcissists, their favorite prey are empaths or borderlines, who are not like those super borderlines I was talking about, the super crazy ones. Because narcissists manipulate you into turning your strengths into weaknesses, using your weaknesses against you, creating trauma bonded, so they can get, they can get your adoration. They can literally abuse you, train you to believe that that your abuser is your savior, looking for validation, that codependency trigger, looking for validation from the person that's using you, cheating on you, stealing your money, destroying you. They're the only ones that can save me. But at the same, and getting off on that control. The top predator in cluster Bs, the top of the food chain in the cluster B personality disorders are psychopaths. Not all psychopaths are evil, by the way. Depends on the person who has that personality disorder. Not all psychopaths are like serial killers and shit like that, no matter what the movies tell you. There are some people who live healthy lives that are sociopaths or psychopaths. NPD, and people who get treatment for NPD. There are people, and BPD. Like there's you can live a healthy life having one of these disorders, healthy-ish life, or with one of these disorders. But psychopathy has the rare ability to take any situation, conversation, and turn it on itself. Psychopaths, from what I understand, love targeting narcissists, because a narcissist is all about false self, false ego. They're protecting that fragile, destroyed, broken inner child. They're protecting that trauma with a false self and control over other people. A psychopath can talk to you and turn you in on yourself. They can direct a conversation, make a comment, and they can do it just using phraseology, just the way that they construct a sentence or conversation or a response, and they can turn you on yourself. So, psychopath sees a narcissist tries to come after one of them, and they will make them run in terror. They will destroy them and break them down, because they will make them constantly face who they are inside, what the truth is. And no matter what the blathering, crazy, rage-filled, egotistical response a narcissist gives someone who is exerting psychopathy upon them, it's still hurting them. It's still destroyed. They're already destroyed inside. You're attacking the core. Okay. One of the steps in learning how to mirror a narcissist is learning psychopathy. It also teaches you, learning psychopathy also teaches you dominance. It teaches you how to control a conversation. It teaches you how to control yourself. It teaches you how to control your emotions. Narcissists target people with deep compassion, empaths, borderlines. They target people who are, looking for validation through others, have abandonment issues, have codependency issues, have these types, these types of issues, and others. Pardon me, I don't know them all. I'm speaking from my experience. So if you learn how to control your emotions, if you learn, I've said in the past how not to feel, but that's not correct. If you learn how and when to feel, if you can encounter a narcissist, especially the one that's abused you, and have the ability to turn it off, gray rock, almost in a way, gray rocking. And you can not only do that, but turn the conversation, turn the narcissist inward on themselves. You have control over the person who is trying to control you. And play the part, depends on how deep you want to go in mirroring a narc. Mirroring a narcissist, you hear that term. I'm sure some of you hear that term and you're like, well, I don't want to be a narcissist. I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be that demonic person. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to prioritize my own selfish ego as if I'm protecting my own damage and to seek to destroy someone else. Mirroring a narcissist is not necessarily being a narcissist. You are using the tactics, some of the tactics of a narcissist against them. First off, evil should be fought. A demonic person, a liar, a manipulator, a cheating, a con artist, but they deserve no respect. I want you to think about how many nights you were left up crying. I want you to think about, for a moment, do it. Go into that damage just for a second. Go into that history about the times you were left in bed, left at home, left completely ghosted and abandoned because that narc was out getting another supply so that they could devalue you and get drugs, money, adoration, positive supply from somebody else that they were moving on to, another supplier, someone they were triangulating, or tertiary, whatever it is. But all for the reason, in far as your experience, to devalue you. I want you to think about how that narc had no problem whatsoever lying to you, taking your money, destroying your life, lying about you, going to friends or family, going on smear campaigns, going online and straight lying. I want you to think about all the premeditated steps that evil demon took in destroying you. Tell me how you're supposed to forgive that. Tell me how that doesn't deserve to be fought. I'd like to know. Because to me, evil should be fought. Narcissist lives in lies and illusion. When you mirror a narc, you don't have to necessarily lie. You can if you choose to. You're dealing with a lying manipulator. You're dealing with a person who gathers amongst them other liars. Anyone who sticks by their side, anybody who knows who they are and sticks by their side, is a lying, manipulative con. All right? They're awful people too. They attract that in their lives. Anybody who really knows them or knows what they're about knows they're a lying, cheating piece of trash. So you can lie if you want to, because even lying puts in doubt. And that doubt already exists. You could target that doubt and exasperate it. Or mirroring the narc means telling the truth, using the truth in such a way that it breaks down their false self, their false world, exposing them. Remember, narcissists hate to be exposed. Holding a narcissist accountable or exposing them for who they are creates a narcissistic injury. That triggers narcissistic rage. And if you can expose that narc at a wide enough range to enough people and destroy their ability to collect supply, that will create narcissistic collapse. And I understand and believe that depending on the type of narcissist you're dealing with, a narcissistic collapse can cause some pretty crazy, murderous, hurtful behavior. I get that. But I don't know about y'all, but it ain't no sweat off my balls if a narcissist collapse and leaves us. No mercy. You go to mirror a narcissist, we do not train to be merciful here. That narcissist wasn't merciful to you, ain't merciful to any person that they've been with. I should have known the moment that I understood Narc X's ex-husband was a successful, strong man that she destroyed to the point where he's dying. I think he might even be dead now. Dying. Because she completely destroyed his company, destroyed his ego, destroyed his person, and now is destroying the child that she had with him. Evil. No accountability, no growth, not taking responsibility for who she is. That's what narcissists do. No mercy. Mirroring a narcissist is not becoming a narcissist, but if you so choose, and you understand the player because you have been destroyed, you have been targeted by this person, you know them, you know their history, you know their lies, you understand everything they said was lies, all mixed in with a sprinkle, just a grain of truth, just enough. You understand who they are. You have the pieces necessary to destroy them psychologically. Learn dark psychology. Narcissists are employing it against you. Learn it. Learn how to destroy their ego using dark psychology, psychopathy. Learn how to expose them with truth. All right. Learn what hurts them the most, what's damaging them the most. They're already broken inside. It's not that difficult. Mirroring a narc isn't for everybody. But if there were more of us out there doing it, I'm sure there'd be less narcissists in the world. So just a quick overview on that as you are going through your healing process. And you hit that anger stage, which is going to come and go because you're going to have to face what happened to you. You're going to continue to go through the sadness and depression as you break the trauma bond. And then you get into anger when you realize that person really never gave a damn about you. You were nothing but a John. You were nothing but a con. You were nothing but something to be used and manipulated and destroyed so that that person could get what they want, whether it's money, drugs, adoration, negative fuel, whatever the selfish case was. When you get to that anger stage, make the choice. Whether it's up to you or not, make the choice. Are you going to just go no contact and go? Do you have to gray rock? And we're going to get into that in a moment. Or are you going to mirror the narcissist? Mirroring the narcissist is learning to control yourself, learning to control your emotions, control your reaction. They're looking for reactions. That's a piece on the board. You can control your reactions in such a way as to give them the false sense that they have control while at the same time employing psychopathy and undermining their control and making them face themselves. Learn dark psychology. Get a dark psychology book. Learn it. Control yourself. Expose them. You can expose them. Create narcissistic injury. And on a quick side note, when it comes to going to war with a narcissist in public, understand that if your reactive abuse and if all of this has been public, because mine was very public, at this point, everybody thinks you're batshit anyway. The people that want to believe those lies are already believing those lies. The people that already hated you before all that started, they going to hate you anyway. You ain't got to prove nothing to nobody. And if you're dealing with a smear campaign that involves multiple people, all right, take notes of who they are. But you don't need to go after them. Keep your focus on the narcissist, the core of the problem. Unless it is advantageous to manipulate. And yes, you're going to have to employ manipulation. This is something you learn when you mirror a narc. Unless it is advantageous to use one of the flying monkeys or other toxic people in such a way that you need to corner or manipulate the narcissist themselves. Don't worry about them. Keep your focus on that evil demon that targeted you for harassment, the source of the problem, the one that needs the attention. Keep your focus on them. You already been smeared. You already been hurt. People that want to hurt you are already out there hurting you. If it's been a public display, people in public already think you're crazy. That's one of the two things, right? When you're telling your truth, when you're telling your experience, don't matter what anybody else say. People that want to hate you, people that want to believe them lies, they're going to believe them lies. They're going to hate you anyway. So fuck them. They don't matter. You've been through enough. Learn how to build them boundaries up and not give a shit. Close them out. Keep your focus intent on the narcissist. There is another aspect to mirroring the narc that we're going to get into right now. For those of you who are strongly religious or don't believe in psychic ability, you might want to pass this on. You might want to pass this part, but I suggest you don't, because it's legit. When that energy vampire was coming after you, when they were targeting you, when they were creating a trauma bond with you, they were creating a very intense psychic connection with you. This is why when they hoover. They're thinking about you all the time, whether they're blaming you to somebody else, smearing your name to somebody else, whatever it is that they're doing. Remember, you're their supply. They live off people. They live off energy, and that includes psychic ability. That includes that spiritual level. They're energy vampires. All right. They're black holes trying to suck everything out of you. One of the reasons why you are up late at night thinking about, or that narcissist randomly comes into your mind, or you randomly remember some situation, is not only because of the psychological damage that was done, it is also because of the psychic link between you and them. They are thinking about you. They are spitting your name. They are talking about you. They're focusing their hate, rage, whatever, their laughter, their enjoyment at the pain that they caused you. Don't think they ain't enjoying that. Don't think they ain't sitting around laughing with other people or laughing with themselves because of the fool you've made yourself because of the trauma and the abuse that they put you through. These are evil fucks. So I'm trying not to curse, my bad. But that's a thing. That's why you wake up in the middle of the night. That's why you can't sleep sometimes. All right. It's not just the psychological damage that you are having to heal from. It is also a psychic connection, and you can use that too. Absolutely, you can use that too. If you're a spellcaster out there, use that link. Learn how to create a shielded mirror. Learn how to mirror, right? Mirroring the narc isn't just working against them with dark psychology and psychopathy. It is also creating your shield, your energy shield around you. Meditate, think, create that healing blueness within you, that white on the outside, and then cover it with a mirror. Imagine your narcissist trying to stare at you and seeing their reflection in the mirror on you. That will bounce back their own effect, and will also bounce back their karma. There's a couple spells I can give out for that, but I think I'll do that on member streams. I get crap from some people when I give out spells. But as far as meditation goes, yes. When you start thinking about them, when they just pop into your mind out of nowhere, when you wake up and you're like terrorized by a nightmare, or you're getting triggered through some memory, that's because that narc is somewhere masturbating over the damage they did to you. That is a psychic connection. Begin defensive meditation. Put that mirror up around you. Concentrate on it. Reflect it back on them. You could take it a step further. They are so intently drawing energy from you as a negative supply. I implore you to learn this. I've done it for decades, most especially in the last few years as I've been battling this demon. Lay down. Invade their mind. You can do it. They're creating a connection with you. They're trying to suck life out of you. They're blaming things on you. They're getting off on the damage they did to you. Lay down, put yourself in a meditative state. Just use your imagination. The most easiest way for me to explain this to anybody is use your imagination. Imagine yourself crossing from where you are to where they are. Doesn't matter if you know where they are. Create something in your mind. Right? Just create an environment. And trust me, that environment will probably come natural once you get used to doing this, and it will most likely be where they are. And play with their brain. For me, it is either covering someone in dragonfire or placing myself in a wolf form and eating their brain out of their skull. And while you are doing this, whatever it is that you are doing, whatever like your spirit animal is or whatever, however it is that you are coming at them, spit damage in their brain. Do what they did to you. Tell them about themselves. You're a piece of trash. You're a liar. You're never going to be anything. You're never going to accomplish anything. You're this, dot, 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 dot. I understand to some people, this sounds like black magic, and you wouldn't necessarily be far off. But that's why I said some of y'all religious cats just skip this part. You are what? Let me ask you this, right? Let me ask you this. What did you do when a bully came at you in the schoolyard? What did you do? Did you get beat up? You go home crying? Did you do that, but then did you eventually pop that bully in the nose? Maybe this is just my own personal philosophy, but, you know, angels have one wing dipped in blood. In the Christian pantheon, I was raised Christian, but I became something else. I still respect my Christian heritage. When God needed to exact vengeance, who did he send? When he needed retribution, when he needed to get something done, who did God send? Angels. There comes a point in time, brothers and sisters, when aggression is valid. When doing what needs to be done, when fighting evil is acceptable. That may not be for everybody, but this is just how I see it. So when that out of nowhere, you're doing good, you're having a good day, you're feeling good, and you feel that trauma bond kicked in, eventually you're going to understand your own ebb and flow, your own healing, your own rhythm. And you'll eventually understand the difference between, am I being triggered by something that's bringing up a memory that I now have to deal with and get over and heal from? Or is that narc somewhere right now, spitting your name out of their mouth, getting off in some way on how they hurt you? And when you feel that latter, F you, F you, F you, F you. Whatever it is you need to say, tell them about themselves. Throw it back on them. You're a piece of trash. You're nothing but an addict. You're nothing but a hoe. No one is ever going to love you because you don't love yourself. You come at them. And I guarantee you, it works. And by the time you've been doing this for months or weeks or however long it takes for you to develop this natural defense mechanism, I guarantee you that when that narcissist is attacking you psychically, spiritually, demonically, through that, in that avenue, that you're naturally going to defend yourself with an offensive mechanism, a spiritual, psychic, offensive mechanism that will cause them to trigger. Go at their core, not the false ego. Not the one they put up to protect themselves, not the lie, not the bubble, the funhouse mirror bubble of bullshit that they put around themselves. Go after the core. No mercy. Learn psychopathy, learn dark psychology, learn psychic defense and attack. Expose them with the truth. If you so choose to take it any further, you can use lies because they live in lies. And people around them who understand who they are will believe those lies, or at least have enough doubt, because enough doubt has already been created by the natural rhythm, the natural personality of that narcissist, that it's going to destroy and disrupt. Yeah. And I will get more in depth on the techniques you can use to go after a narcissist in my channel members' videos. Now let's move on to something else. Michael had asked me earlier, how do you deal with a narcissist who you have kids with or you got some tie with? Well, I fortunately don't I fortunately don't, but I kind of do. Well, as I said, I was attracted to toxic women my entire life. Whether they were avoidant, BPD, whatever type of personality, negative, toxic personality they had. But I have learned from talking to some of my friends and talking to other people who have had narcissistic relatives, the gray rocking technique. Shout out to Wes Moody. Had a great interview with Wes Moody. Please check that out. He can give you a more in-depth perspective on how to deal with like narcissistic parents, narcissistic relations. When you're dealing with another parent who has who's a narcissist that you've had a kid with, understand that kid is an object. That kid's a tool. They don't really love that kid. That kid is something to be used and manipulated, whether it's for their own negative or positive fuel. Gray rocking is the only answer aside from mirroring. Now, mirroring in the case when a child is involved, I have not had that experience, but as this video gets older, if some of you decide to take the mirroring route and you have a kid with a narc, please let me know in the comments or let everyone know what the results were. I would imagine mirroring a narcissist with a child involved to the full range of doing it would cause more harm than good. You have to understand, the innocence here is the priority. The child is the priority. The development of that child. A narc don't give a shit about that child. They don't heal their own inner child. They went through traumas and didn't face and heal themselves. They don't give a shit about that kid, no matter what they say. They're using that kid. That kid's a pawn. It is up to you to give an example of what real love is, what authenticity is, to that child. That's your job. That's on you now. And not only do you have to do that, but you've got to do it while battling a demon. No contact, obviously, is not an option. So you've got a gray rock. I would imagine there would be an amount of gray rocking and mirroring that needs to take place. Gray rocking a narcissist is not giving them the reactions that they seek. Responding in such a way that you provide no fuel. The energy that it takes for the narc to manipulate and try and hurt you, the squeeze doesn't equal the juice. There's no point in doing it. The narc gets bored with you and needs to move on, like a vampire to somebody else, to another, you act like a dried husk and they need to go get blood and energy from somebody else. So a limit of gray rocking definitely has to be done. But I would also say, Michael, and anybody else out there with that question, mirroring as well. The mirroring techniques that some of them that I've suggested. Learning to control your emotions and use a bit of psychopathy. Do it in a way that you're not doing it around the kid. Don't do it in that way. Make the narcissist look in on themselves. Do it subtly. Do it in a way that's not aiming to trigger. When I talk about mirroring a narcissist, I'm looking for damage. I'm creating damage. I want to hurt that narc. I want to create a collapse. But you can't do that. The kid's involved, especially if the kid's going back and forth. And you don't want to do it in front of the kid because you don't want to teach the kid that. Then you're becoming just as toxic as the narcissist in as far as how you are showing yourself as an example to that child. I would imagine if you do your job right for long enough. My friend, I have a friend who has a kid with a narc. I'm not going to mention relationships or who they are, but I have a friend who's done his best to be an example to his son, to the point where his son has gotten to the age where he understands what mom is. He sees mom and he knows that's a horrible person and doesn't put any stock. And the damage has been done by mom, of course, to this poor kid, but because dad remained as positive, as stable an example as he could, the kid has a chance to live a normal life, even though mom's damaged him. And that's what you have to do. You've got to be the example of what it is to be a good person, an authentic person, what real compassion, real love is. That's on you. So That's about my best advice when dealing with or co-parent. Well, you're not really co-parenting with a narcissist. You have a kid with a narcissist. That is your child. That is the narcissist's object, a thing. They don't care about that kid. Be an example of what love is. Be as supportive and loving. Be there for them. Try not to trash talk. Trash talking to the kid about the other parent is not going to help the kid. Let the kid discover for themselves what type of trash their parent is. Be an example. And when the kid's not around or not looking, employ dark psychology, psychopathy, and mirror the narc. Make them look at themselves. Make them mirror them so that they have to look at this mirror of their repulsiveness. And hopefully you can get them to run. Some narcs run because they can't handle the truth. They can't handle who they are. But make sure, prioritize innocence. One of the things that I continually said while I was going through narcissistic abuse with Narc X, who is a parent, is we don't pass on pain. You don't pass on your damage to the next generation. You do what you can to heal. You don't want to create generational damage. Like, that's what created a narc. Well, in most cases, I believe that's what created the narcissist, is passing on generational damage, not caring about the kid, creating damage in them, and then creating a narcissist or a damaged person. And that's the last thing that you want to do. Innocence must be protected. The child must be protected. Be an example. Do the best that you can. And Michael, good luck. No contact. I have attempted to initiate no contact quite a few times. I have been unsuccessful. No contact is a tried and true way to heal yourself, protect yourself, and remove the narcissist from your life, depending on the type of hoovering they do and the resources they have, the type of narcissist or the type of person that they are with narcissism, and what they employed in order to keep a hoover. God forbid you're dealing with a dark empath. Like a narcissistic dark empath, because that's a whole nother level. But for your run-of-the-mill narcissist, no contact. Invalidates their existence. When you don't give them reaction, they're looking for a reaction. They are looking for that's why they spread trauma and pain into you, is to create reaction, to get negative fuel for themselves. They feel control over someone else. They avoid control over their own impulses and self and healing themselves. They create and spread trauma, and then they go home and masturbate over how much damage they've caused in somebody else's life. That's what these demons are. No contact absolutely invalidates their existence to them. It completely invalidates them. If they can't get a reaction out of you, they have a loss of control. They won't be able to face the fact that they mean nothing to you. They won't be able to face that fact, and they will run screaming to go destroy someone else. I have joked many times, talking about bring back dueling. I'm going to do a couple more bring back dueling videos, but the whole idea of the bring back dueling videos was the current model of dealing with narcissistic abuse is arrogant, is irresponsible, in my opinion. Evil should be fought, as far as I'm concerned. Right? These demons need to be taken down, and the current model as it is you get love bombed. Then you get devalued, and then you get ghosted, and then you get smeared, and then they come back, they hoover, and then they come back around for a short love bomb before the devaluation, and the cycle goes over and over again, creating the trauma bond with you, and then keeping you in this loop where they're feeding off of your energy and your reaction and your emotions and your destruction, like going home and, over it. The model as it stands is going no contact and just let them go destroy the next person. I've heard of that a lot. And, when I was first when I was first going into recovery from this abuse, it did help. Hearing those messages did help. And for some of you, that's probably the best way to go about it. If you're not a personality type like myself, but to me, that's flagrantly irresponsible, right? So your answer, you get abused, you get targeted for harassment, abuse, you get for smear campaigns, you get targeted to be destroyed. This person comes into your life with the objective of breaking you down, breaking something good, manipulating, humiliating, using, siphoning, destroying, smearing, like just the worst, some of the worst behaviors that a bipedal organism can display. And the answer to this is, go let them destroy someone else. Go let them break down the next person. Let them deal with it. Like, really? That's what we're doing? We're being narcissists now? We're shifting responsibility and blame, or whatever. We're shifting over to the next victim. We're not looking out for our fellow brothers and sisters out there. Like, that personally to me doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. But no contact is valid. You know, it is, in as far as getting away from them. I would like to augment this cycle. I would like to augment this for cases in which it can be done. Because there are some cases, dealing with relationships or parents or co-parenting, family, there's some where it just won't work. But, when you have to gray rock or you just have to, contact. In situations where you can, I would like to augment this cycle, okay? Go no contact, yes, because you got to heal yourself. You got to break the trauma bond. Learn the steps that I told you about mirroring a narcissist, and enact revenge. Go after them. Make them think twice before they F with you again. And understand, you're going to be dealing with blowback. Just take it. Just expect it. Make it a part of the plan. Create a plan and an outline when you're going to mirror a narcissist. Expect that blowback to be a part of that cycle, because you're going to trigger narcissistic rage, and they're going to come out in their smear campaign. They're going to come at you. But make them think twice. Make them think twice. God's willing, you cause a narcissistic collapse that ends in no one having to worry about it again. But you want to make them think twice before they target somebody else. Not only that, but if you sufficiently mirror a narcissist and further break them down, they're going to be in an even weaker position than they have ever been. I realize their own desperation for fuel is going to be a part of this. It is what it is. But you're going to break them down further than they've already been in their lives. And through their further self-devaluation, and even less self-worth than they've already had, which is a reason for what they're doing, you're going to make them desperate for fuel. And they will expose themselves to people who are more observant. You may not save the next victim, so to speak, but you may give the next victim the ability to see them for who they are much sooner than you did, or any previous victim did. You're going to put them in a position where they are so desperate for fuel, that they're so manic and freaked and messed up in their head because of the effectiveness of your mirroring, that they're even more vulnerable to people's true perceptions of who they are. And then, go no contact. No contact in that theory comes through twice. First time when you need to heal, learn what you need to learn, figure yourself out, figure out who you are, what made you susceptible, shore up those weaknesses, learn the things that you need to learn to become a better version of yourself, and creating stronger boundaries, facing your wounds, healing them. If not, you decide to go into mirroring the narc, learning the steps and the traits, the skills that you need in order to do that, and then go no contact again. Narcissists are energy vampires. They're destructive forces in anyone's life. The only person who can save them is them. Like a toxic person, the only way that they're ever going to be helped, it's not you. You can't help them. There's nothing you could have ever did. Now for side notes, because there is a part of this that I am just now beginning to go through for myself. As I said, I'm an aggressive personality. I'm a little combative. Which is why I've learned what I have learned and how to deal with this the way that I have. dealing with flying monkeys and other toxic people. There were enablers of the abuse that I went through that are still on YouTube, YouTubers and certain personalities that I have up to this point largely avoided, not because I am avoiding them, but because my focus has been on destroying NarcX. I have efficiently done that, I believe. There's a spiral happening right now from which there is no return. And I think it is now time for me to initiate goodbye, no contact, best I can. The tornado of self-destruction is happening right now. Part of the energy attraction in dealing with a narcissist or mirroring a narcissist is you are going to invite those like energies back to you. You're going to manifest it. Especially if another smear campaign, which there was a small smear campaign that was a very ineffective one that was put up, that I had already expected, but it has stirred up the energy pot again between some of the people who had enabled her abuse. Some of which will always get no contact because they are desperately wanting some kind of negative fuel and they will never get it. They're not worth it. Some are still trying to enact the same tactics, the same toxic or narcissistic tactics against me that has worked in the past or made me feel devalued in the past. And it's been eye-opening because I've been through what I've been through. I see it now. For instance, there was a bestie that NarcX had that a big enabler of her abuse, like literally coaching. I think she's an older narcissist, like an older female narcissist. From what I understand, older female narcissists, they lose their looks, they lose the ability to use sex to triangulate. They rely more on psychological manipulation. Anyway, so she has been creeping around different friend groups that I haven't been around because I've had to isolate. Of course, I've told you this before. We need to isolate further than the narcissist isolated us in order to find our authentic self and heal up. And she's taking advantage of certain toxic people who used to be my friend. But since I have created strong boundaries and I'm a different person, I'm not a pushover. I don't just accept abuse from people, or I don't accept negative thinking. Now that toxic people recognize that when you start standing up for yourself, and you don't take that, you don't take shit, they notice that and you become the enemy because now you can't be manipulated. Now you can't be played with. So now I'm starting to, not that I'm trying to get invested with these people or working, but I'm going back into groups because I'm reestablishing myself as a YouTuber in the community, or being more active. I'm noticing these things. Okay, what has happened since I went away and went on my own little mission and of healing and mirroring, and now I'm back. And when I go into chat groups where the enabler of abuse is, she will, okay, I gotta go, bye. And from her perspective, her delusion, she's devaluing me and she's making me feel some kind of way, when in reality, I'm seeing it for what it is. And I'm like, yeah, I'm making you run. I know what that is. You're running, narc. You enabler of abuse, you toxic person, you're running away. You're not making me feel in any kind of way. Matter of fact, you're giving me validation. Part of mirroring the narc is learning how to get off on toxic people doing toxic shit, to themselves. Like just like looking at a person who believes that she is devaluing me or maintains some type of control, when in reality, my presence triggers the narcissist into flight. That's the part of the delusional BS mechanism that narcissists have. It's a beautiful thing. Now, I'm not sure where this is going to lead, and if it will lead anywhere. If I need to interact, I probably won't. But this is how toxic, when you come out stronger than you've ever been, when you've done the healing work, and you will have no problem calling a toxic person out. You have the ability to control your emotions. You respond when and how you so choose. You're no longer reactive. Toxic people, they see that. And no matter what their reaction is, which is probably going to be smears, lies, deception, and manipulation, right? That's what toxic people do. you can see it. And those things are actually caused by their fear of being exposed, their fear of your strength, your authenticity, who you are as a character, as a person, what your character is. So I am just now beginning to go through those stages, and I'm seeing the different the Muppets playing their games, and it's nothing that I'm really invested in, but I'm going to stay apprised, because if to a certain point, if you're going to work as a social media personality, you have to pay attention to some of the players in the game, or the behaviors in the social algorithm of what's going on. It just is a part of the game. And knowing other people's game is how you protect yourself. Even the most authentic, true person needs to understand that. It's not a negative thing. It is a very positive and protective and powerful thing to understand how people play and how to avoid or how to counter their games. On a personal note, I know that I have a boisterous, energetic, passionate, powerful voice and presence and energy. So I'm going to be using that. And as I see the triggered responses from people who are trying to devalue me, spread, lies, whatever it is, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy how much I trigger toxic people who enjoyed so much my downfall, who were enablers of the abuse I was going through. And I may or may not mirror a few that tried to aid in my narcissist goal for my self-deletion. Depends. Maybe, maybe not. In closing, I would like to say that from a spiritual perspective, the narcissist goal is to drain your energy. And engaging with them, whether you're like reading cards on them, or whether you are mirroring, if you are psychic attack, interactions of any kind, kind of locks you into that pool of energy. And you have to expect that. Again, if you are mirroring, or if you're gray rocking, or if you whatever you're doing, you have to take that into account as you plan. And here's where I'm going to be a little hypocritical, because I have to be, honestly. Going no contact eliminates that. Eventually, that energy vampire is going to move on to the next supply. They are going to look for their fuel someplace else. And going no contact means eliminating, severing that. Cord cutting ceremony, meditation, whatever it is you need to do, prayers to get that person out of your life, however it is, that your connection with source of the divine. Going no contact eliminates that connection of energy, which then allows you to fully utilize who you are, your true power. Going through everything that you have, understanding yourself better, building stronger boundaries, confronting what it is in you that made you weak to the manipulation of a toxic, manipulative, lying demon, will make you a stronger person. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of inner work, shadow work. It's a lot of looking into yourself and having to face your own damages and do the healing. But in the end, it's beneficial. You will be a stronger version of yourself, but you won't be the person that you were before. If you do this right, and you maintain your true heart, your authentic self, you're going to have more power, more energy, more self-esteem, more grit. You're going to be able to deal with people that you've never been able to deal with before. You're going to see things through a more realistic, authentic lens than you ever have. Your energy is going to skyrocket. And the most important part, my brothers and sisters, is productivity. Doing things that make you feel good about yourself. Working on the things you like to work on. Writing, art, community service. Whatever it is, family, whatever it is that makes you feel like you've done something great in the day. That's going to mean the most. And not only will that help to bolster who you are, push your energy into a more positive direction, but it will push a narcissist away. Because the last thing that a toxic person or a narcissist wants to see is you doing well, you being productive, you being your authentic self, doing things that a toxic person or a narcissistic person cannot do. Bettering yourself and succeeding while you're doing it. This is your goal above all else. Whether you just walk away, go no contact, whether you mirror, whether you gray rock, whatever avenue it is you need to take in order to eliminate the toxic infiltration of this demon, this demonic force in your life that wants to tear you down, no matter what avenue you have to take. Bettering yourself should be your end goal. Being productive. And at first you could be doing it to piss them off or to show them up, like I was doing with building this channel. But now I'm doing this channel because I want to help you. I want to help others. I feel productive and good about this. At first, it was to show people who had left my side, abandoned me, people who had acted as my friends. I wanted to show them that I could do it on my own, that I could grow a channel. And for the most part, to many of those people, I've outgrown them doing this. And it doesn't matter what they say about the channel. It doesn't matter how they try and devalue it. I've already been through it. I've already learned how to deflect. I've already learned how not to care about what toxic people think. I, at this point, am doing this because I want to bring awareness about narcissistic abuse. I want to be supportive to those of us who have been through it. I want to be a positive force, which is what I've always wanted to be. No matter what it is that you do, your end goal should be the betterment of yourself, becoming a stronger version of who you are. And if you do that, in defiance of all the destruction, all the toxicity, all the cheating, the lying, the triangulation, the ghosting, the targeted smear campaigns, everything that you've been through, you will reclaim yourself. My love to y'all. Thank you guys for everybody who has watched this entire video. I greatly appreciate you. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And never again suffer that fool. Run!